Yes, lads, and welcome back. We're here for another one. My name is Harrison Chamberlain, and I'm an online coach. I do my one-to-one coaching, and I also run something called Alpha 2.0, which is a group coaching platform as well. So, what I'm going to be going over in this video is kill the old you, kill the old version of you. So, a lot of guys, when they try and get in shape, they don't realize a lot of the things you have to start saying no to, rather than sometimes it's not always about the things you say yes to. You can say yes to your steps, you can say yes to eating pretty good, but if you're not saying no to the other things like going out every weekend, eating crap food, being lazy, not getting in that workout, if you're not saying no to some of these things that you shouldn't be doing, um, then you're not going to get in shape. And getting to this version here is going to require killing many different versions of this guy. Yes, you could say I was younger here. I probably was I was probably around the 13, 14-year-old. About 13, I think I was, because I remember this was actually a house party. So it was in the school days. But you can see I was probably about 50 something kilos. Not much at all. Then here, I was 60 kilo, because I actually remember this was one of my first boxing matches. I remember I was prepping for a fight, and we were weighed at 60 kilo. We were matched at 60 kilo. So I remember taking this photo in the mirror like a week before, and I did feel very, I felt small and skinny. But I was going into my first fight, my first boxing match, which I actually lost. It was pretty close. It was pretty close, but I lost my first one, and then and went from there. But as you can see here, there's not much on my frame, pretty skinny. Then this was as we started to get into the gym. So I think this is around the time I stopped boxing and I started picking up the weights. And I remember I was like, I'm going to take a few, I'm going to take some photos, videos, document the journey of what I look like now. So you can see I'm pretty shredded. I think it's probably about 65, 64 kilo, I reckon, here. And then now, this is 76, 75, 76 kilo. Oh, 75, 76 kilo here. Natural. I've never taken anything. I've never taken any steroids, any SARMs, or anything like that. I've done this natural, and I've put in the work. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, you can't get that shredded natty." My brothers have very good genetics. Of course, genetics do play a good role. Some people could train for years and years on end, and some people have the body to build muscle. That's not to say you can't get in shape. So don't allow that excuse. A lot of people, say it's down to my genetics, things like that. Genetically, everyone is different, but I've put in the work. I've been in the gym. I've been in the boxing gym. I've done all my road work, done all my running. I've trained for years to get myself in shape. I've ate the good food, consisted of 80 to 90% good diet. Occasionally I might eat a little bit of, a takeaway, something bad. But even if I do have a takeaway now, I try to sort of keep it clean, because my stomach just doesn't digest poor food well. I am a bit of a sucker for a gluten-free chocolate brownie, but that's pretty much about it. So I've killed many different versions to get to here. I remember when I was here, I was like, oh, I need to pack some muscle on. I'm skinny, but I was also boxing, and I loved boxing. So you're not really doing both. You're not really building muscle in boxing, because I had a lot of road work that I was doing. Probably 2 or 3 days a week I was running, and then down the gym 2 or 3 days a week, and spar. And it was something where it's one or the other. It's very hard to do two things, and even now I do two things now, and that is going to the gym, build muscle, and doing my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which I do twice a week, which I do look to be competing on fairly soon. But even fitting that in is quite hard sometimes, because I'm doing that twice a week, and then I'm getting in the gym 4 days a week, 3 days a week sometimes. But I'm just making sure that my training is spot on. So what does it actually take? So it takes belief, it takes work rate, it takes consistency, it takes discipline. You need to train like you are that guy already. Now, the reason I say this to a lot of people, is you need to train like that athlete version of you. You need to train like the version of you that has that physique. When I was here, I was already training like this guy. I was already training very hard, right? Because I could see the clear view of how much muscle and what I wanted to look like. I had that clear vision in my head. So it was inevitable for me, to put in the work, and I would get to here where I am. And educate yourself, or be open to people teaching you. Whether you get a coach, whether you're getting someone, whether you're watching someone on YouTube, you might be watching this video, and taking that knowledge. Don't be that guy that thinks you know everything, and you're still in the same position. There's nothing worse than someone that's ignorant, that doesn't want to take any advice from anyone else, especially when they're in a position to give the advice. You learn a lot from people. So you need to kill that version of you that procrastinates with the discipline. You need to kill the habit of, I'll start on Monday. You need to kill that comfort of staying average. You need to kill the late night binging on rubbish and then continuing the same the next day, because the mentality is, I've already messed up. What's another day going to do? You need to kill the identity of the guy who quits after 2 weeks. You need to kill the excuses around time. You don't have enough time. You need to kill the need for motivation. You need to build the systems, build the daily actions instead that will lead you there. You need to kill the all or nothing mindset. And you need to kill, this is a big one, you need to kill comparing yourself to others. If you're watching this video and you're going to start comparing yourself to me, who I've been training now for 10 years, in fitness, then it's pointless. If you're starting your journey, do not start comparing to other guys, right? Write down goals. Write down your goals for the next 3 months, 6 months, and a year. And if you want to do 2 years, do that. But don't go comparing yourself to someone that's been in the game, because that will just fry you. That will paralyze you, and you will not get started. Kill the old standard you've accepted that have got you out of shape, right? Kill that old version of you. So the powerful part, you need to become the guy who trains no matter what, right? It doesn't matter about the excuses. You're tired, you've had a hard day at work. If your body's actually really aching and you're ill, fair enough, something like that, then you rest. Your body's calling for rest. But if you're just tired, you need to get disciplined, right? You need to realize that you're going to be tired a lot of the time, right? Everyone's tired. There's no difference between you and an athlete. The athlete just does the work. They've built the discipline up here. They've built the muscle in the mind to, no matter what they're training. There's no difference between you and me. It's just that even when I'm tired, I have to do the work, because I know if I'm not doing the work, I'm not building muscle, or I'm not even remaining in the shape that I'm in. So you need to become that guy that keeps promises that he makes to himself. A lot of people make these promises and after 2 weeks they quit, right? Don't be that guy. Become the guy who doesn't skip training when life gets hard. This is your only release here. When things get stressful, this is your release. Like, you're releasing dopamine, you're releasing hormones that there's nothing else that can do that for you, right? Hitting the bottle, hitting the drugs, the bag, all this rubbish, that's not going to do anything for you. That's going to put you in a very big hole that you'll just be digging and digging and digging, and you look up and you realize, oh crap, like, I'm so far down, how do I even get out of this? Don't let yourself get in that position in the first place. So become the guy who lives like he already has the physique, right? You need to train like that guy that already has the physique. Like I said to you from the start, that guy of me, small, skinny, I was already training like the guy on the right? I wasn't leaving reps short. I wasn't using, crap form. I wasn't turning up to the gym, walking out after 20 minutes because I feel like I've done enough. I wasn't moaning, when I was tired and not going to the gym. The same way I trained back then was the same way now. I just have more knowledge now and more education, and I know more, but I still had the intensity back then. Sometimes it's about what we actually say no to. Like I said at the start of this video, you've got to think of some of the things you've got to start saying no to. So if some things are holding you back, like, you're constantly getting a takeaway 4 or 5 days a week, you need to start making little changes. Maybe have one once a week, right, on the weekend, and maybe start banking calories for that day, right? You need to put, if you're looking to drop body fat, you need to put yourself in a deficit. If you're looking to build muscle, then it's different. We're looking to go in a surplus. And guys, remember, if you are, doesn't matter what you're doing, you are not bulking, right? Or you are not dropping body fat. If you are simply putting yourself in a surplus and you call yourself bulking, and all you're doing is just eating more food and you're not tracking it, you're not bulking, you're just guessing, right? You are literally guessing, because I can guarantee you that all you're doing is pretty much putting on body fat. If you're not tracking your food, how do you know, right, how many calories you need to have? I hear this all the time, and it's often young lads that say, yeah, I'm bulking. I'm like, oh, I'll ask them, oh, nice, how many calories you on? And they do not have a flying clue. They do not have a clue. How are you supposed to bulk, right, if you don't know how many calories you're on? How are you supposed to grow a business when you don't know the data, right? If you're not eating the correct amount of protein, it doesn't matter about you have your protein shake and your eggs in the morning and a bit of chicken breast at lunch. That doesn't matter. If you're not having down to the gram of what your body needs, you're not building muscle, you are gaining body fat. You're putting yourself in a surplus and just gaining body fat, right? Because also, if you're not training like a machine, if you're not training properly, even if this is how hard it is to build muscle, right? It's not easy to put muscle on your body. It's not easy. People think it's easy. People think you can run a surplus, run a bulk, train, and you'll build muscle. It's not like that. Muscle takes time. It takes time to even solidify, cement into your body, right? You need to work hard. You need to train hard. You need to get good sleep. This is all support your hormones, your recovery. It becomes all in all. It's not just a small thing of, I'm going to bulk and push a few weights. You need to be progressively overloading, because I guarantee you, most people that say they bulk, they run their bulk their way after 6 months. I've even had a client, right? I've had a client where I used to, I took him through a bulk. I think we got 4 months, 5 months down the line. And I said to him, if this is how you've been training, and a big worry was how he trained, because I seen him quit like 5 or 6 reps short. I would see him on these machines and then just stop. And I would be like, mate, you're not training hard enough. You're not going to build muscle. It does not matter if you're hitting your protein and in a surplus. You will not build muscle, because if you quit every time like that, when it comes hard, how are you progressively overloading? How are you going that next week and pushing more weight than you did the previous week? It's not happening. So your muscles aren't getting put under stress. They're not getting put under that tension to grow. They're not going to be growing. So you're not putting them under enough stress. And we didn't. We went through the cut and we literally looked the same. And I was on his case about training harder. I was on his case. And that's just some people. You really have to realize you do have to train hard. Building muscle is not easy. So, coming to the end of that video, if you do want to see more content with education exactly like this, I'm going to talk a lot more refeed days, calories, macros, everything like this in fitness, and how I get the lads that I coach in shape, whether that's on Alpha 2.0 or whether that's my one-to-one coaching. Then you can also follow me on Instagram, which is Harrisons_coaching. Otherwise, if you're new, make sure to subscribe to this video. Drop a like, drop a comment if you've got any questions, and I'll get back to you and answer them. Lads, I'll see you in the next video. Hope you enjoyed this one. Take care.